Welcome to Marin Poets Live. I'm Neshama Franklin. I work at the Fairfax Library and I love poetry. After this program appears on TV, it will appear on the Marin Free Library website as part of a digital archive which also features biographies of the poets and links to our collection. Today we are featuring poet Gloria Ataide Breen. Welcome, Gloria.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. And so, do you have a Marin poem to start us off with?
I do.
Wonderful.
Trek. Just before the solstice gang came in, cryptic tattletales in traffic, our trek on Sir Francis Drake. Some glitter, jog or eat, our Drakians fall. Slick plots are then ridden solo with fanfare, wine, rutabagas, and a tan. Okay, stroll in, strum some more. Crying jag of the gemologist. Swift blur of sunlight on my mug, black sunlight in midair. Some trodden frame, paper halls over elders. The vet's ochre jaguar. Oak veranda, lounge in skis. Genuine grave languages, shoes that blur more heart attention. See, there in moss and stern liquor, light bigger and have the stern heart and arms, our vigor. Then we can fall, mortal, red and lyrical. Then are in stumbling briars for hell landing, and again, falling lyrically, mortally, all hang in the den, roaring vividly in the den.
That's very unusual to my ears. It's like a mosaic of images that are coming with a lot of vigorous words in them, but it's full of surprises. And I kind of got lost and found in it, which I really love to have happen in a poem. So let's have another one.
Eucalyptus. This was published in the Belena's Hearsay News. A woman heard me read it and asked to publish it. Eucalyptus. When I was young and uneasy under the branches of the eucalyptus, a megalith entering the sky, I did not know how long it takes to become a woman. So long you peel before the end, shed narrow curling strips down to a tawny interior, once fresh and red like the womb's lining, cozy blood nest for the primordial to begin its antic dance of cell division. Until even that rich mesh pours its last, sloughs itself off and away into the undercurrents of trees and the sea's dark branches, into the current, the moving grid of time.
I love the starting homage. That's so sweet. I mean, isn't that Dylan Thomas?
Yes.
Yes, duh. I mean, but it's very comforting to hear that and then to see where it's going to take off. And eucalyptus is is a subject of great dispute in Belena's because some people say it's not native, get rid of it. And I think this person was somebody in the Save the Eucalyptus camp.
Definitely.
But yes. And woman and tree intertwined like that is a lovely image.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another one, please.
Bass Lake, covered by water. The water of Bass Lake, rank and fresh at once, had a smell that was a color, green and yet brown, color of my father's eyes, neither this nor that, nothing simple, ever. The lake opened out before me, tremulous voices murmuring, even as I tested it, hunching my shoulders against the cold. My face contorted against what was coming, water creeping up by degrees. Too deep. No one had taught me anything. I'd never had any kind of lessons. I only knew how to thrash and flail and howl, not swim, not go in calmly and surely, knit my body to the wave's rhythm, and in the right instant emerge in the lulls between breaths. I couldn't float. I didn't trust Bass Lake, didn't think it would hold me if I sank. I was sinking every day. Sadness was heavy. Fear weighed more. Each day, a little further, I submerged into a water mother who couldn't hold me. She could only hold herself as she too was sinking. Water was no kind of mother. When it got warmer, my fingers uncurled from their fists. The smell of Bass Lake held the smell of gasoline in all its hundreds of suggestions. The forceful rush of fast boats sent a rough white cut of surf over my head. The lake received me, made it seem I had no body. One day I would go over my head, deeper than I'd meant to. On another day I would float. But that day I realized what someone once said. The world, what we saw, touched, tasted, smelled, heard, all earth had once been covered by water. Once we were all swimmers without knowing. And when the water rose to cover our mouths and eyes, we could breathe it and knew what to do. Once we could swim in water, we could live in it.
These are such deeply personal poems, coming out of a place of confusion and fear. I mean, that's where they seem to start, do they not? And then that you take us through the journey of some grounding, but still so tremulous. That's what I feel. So they're kind of evolutionary poems. You can't settle and say, oh, that was it, because it's never quite it. It's always the exploration, which makes them very exciting to listen to. And now, well, I want more.
That's kind of my philosophy. It's never quite it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. The right way to hold a crayon. What did I care about letters or numbers, about the right angle for the slant of A, the balloons on a stick that made B, the half circle of C? I could not focus on the proper way to hold my crayon, said Mrs. O'Brien. That gift in my fist, mine. No one could grab it from my grasp. It was enough to hold it. Why did I have to draw what she said? Why did I have to draw at all? Now she told me to sit, power over my body she had no right to. I wanted to see some love in her eyes. She did not smile upon me as she did Ruthie, thumb-sucking minister's daughter. She'd squat next to Ruthie's desk to murmur to her as Ruthie snuffled like a piglet, her mouth plugged with her gelid, wrinkled thumb, rosy when she let it out of the gate of missing tooth, her love deficit not extreme like mine. Mrs. O'Brien was the first to shy from the hollow in me where love could be. What she did like was cigarettes. The smell of tobacco came off her in harsh waves that made me draw back, as perhaps she'd intended. My need lacked appeal. How dare I cry for mother? We were afraid of each other, there in the small jail of first grade.
That's very powerful. I was plunged right, I was sitting on that seat with you, I was grasping that crayon. It's an poem of growing up and the, or not, you know, of being stuck and powerless, but furious. I love it. Thank you. Another one.
The ditch. Today we played tag, running through the sprinklers. You're it, Betty shouted. It was so hot we filled up tubs from the hose, like the pigs drink from. We sat with knees below our chins in the olive tree's shade. Then we dug for a while, and mud we made under the locust tree. Grandma handed us Cheerios from her apron pocket, and when one fell in the dirt, I ate it anyway. She didn't care. But Rosaline said I shouldn't. She'd learned about germs in school. You can't see them, but they're there. Betty and I spun around and around like the sprinklers until we got dizzy enough to fall down on the grass. Then we picked orange poppies and blue Indian paintbrush near the ditch. You're not supposed to pick poppies, but we do. Tomorrow we get to swim in the ditch if we work picking grapes, except for black widows and the sun too hot. I don't mind picking grapes. I like to get to use the sharp grape knife, the blades curved like a hawk's beak. My friend's folks don't let her use grape knives. If we don't work, we don't get school shoes, white Oxfords. Then I can't go to school. I want to go to school. I like to read. Dick and Jane and their dog Muffy. Dick and Jane don't have to work. Their daddy wears a tie and smiles. He doesn't hit. Mine hits hard. It's a sin. But I hate Daddy. He's mean. I wish Germs would get him. Or Mama would run him over with the tractor. He shouldn't holler like that right in our faces. When he hit Betty with his belt buckle, it made her bleed. Maybe he'll get dizzy and fall down. I'd like somebody strong to put him in a gunny sack, like we used to pick cotton at the Pattersons, and tie a knot at the top and throw him in the ditch, like he did Fluffy's baby kitties yesterday. I know this makes me bad. I know I might die for thinking these things.
Ooh. So I don't have to ask you anything biographical because it's all in there. And it's just, it goes from the kind of, originally the kind of swirling joy of childhood, but there's always that, and we did it and you're not supposed to do it, and we did it and you're not supposed to do it, and then it got so dark and angry. It's a tour de force of a childhood poem. Did you have to, is that stuff inside you so vivid, or did you have to really dig for those incredible images to come forth?
No, they came very easily.
Yes.
At the time that I was doing this, about 4 years ago. I was writing poems from the point of view of someone about 5 or 6.
Yeah.
5 and 6 seem to be key points that I want to return to.
Right.
I want to go back there and sort of.
Well, it's when language gets pretty sophisticated, I believe, and you're between the worlds of, you just kind of get it in a sensory way, and then you try to figure it out. Perhaps I don't know that much about child development, but I know about those poems, and they're wonderful. So more.
Artichoke. My grandmother lived her first 30 years in Porto, Portugal. Then the rest of her life in the white cottage behind us, like those huts deep in forests where crones live alone, healers who always use their good magic in kind ways and always have answers for the lost ones. Grandma Rosa often had a cooked artichoke waiting for me after school, served with mayonnaise. I loved to unpeel each green petal one by one to the heart at the center. The secret you might throw away if you didn't know better. The best part. Another way she taught me patience, how to see and find, how to look hard for what was hidden, what others might discard.
You were very lucky, especially considering how you grew up, to have that grandmother, and the artichoke carries it beautifully. the secret and the patience. Thank you. More.
This owes a great debt to Yehuda Amichai until the last one. You've come to me in some grapes. You're there as I note the tightness of the bunch that says, these are sweet. We both note its heft and weight that tells us these grapes are good. We pluck one off from the firm cluster and place the soft marble between our lips and back, crush it with our molars to let the first juice erupt in our mouths. I know you, and that when you appear to me, it is always to help, even if it's just by watching. Your wisdom is composed of suffering as the green skin of the grape encloses juice, sun. I recall how I paced the rooms naked before you, in labor with my last child, and never felt ashamed. With my hands, I stroke your dark hair and your forehead that I never touched when you were alive. You're there when I eat green grapes. You are there until the last one is eaten.
Now, I ricocheted all over that poem trying to figure out the you. And you could either tell me the you or leave it as a poetic mystery.
It's for my mother.
For your mother, because somehow I picked up the whole of, you know, the absence of the mother in the previous poems. So that's why, you know, so I guess your mother had both the loving and the difficulty, as we all do. But what a beautiful tribute. And that business of not ashamed in labor naked. Oh, what a fabulous image. And what a tribute to her. She's no longer with us. Yeah, that's what poets can do, you know, beautiful elegies. So, more please.
4th of July, the avenue ablaze in a surprise of lights, our eyes already dilated into light of each other. In the guise of surface reserve, we do not yet touch, but I hear your small hum and catch of breath, a held note. Our nerve endings signal each other's tender fibers, skins thronging multitudes, marching, singing. Like these exploding chrysanthemums in the summer night, our low croons of praise move from awe to a pulsing lift of joy. Drums become our heartbeats leaping inside us as we succumb to the reverberations of each boom. Then the fairy dust begins to dissipate, one diamond at a time, until the last asterisk, the final silver starlet, melts into the hot sky, fades against the blank screen of night, and the true stars assert their icy primacy in the utterness. And we are left to sigh, shivering a little, as if all that covered us were flimsy chiffon dresses of birch saplings, trembling in 100 places at once from the assonance of a barely audible wind.
Phew. That's the entire sweep of dawning relationship to where it doth end up. And so sensual and so much beautiful wordplay in there. I mean, they all went by me, but there's, you know, words that just snuggle up and bounce against each other very delightfully. Thank you. And do you want to give me a you in that one?
My husband.
Well, I was
John.
hoping. I was hoping. But you never know with first love. So that's marvelous. And what better than about 5 minutes. So.
Okay. The lemon. When your hand met that lemon on the tree, the instant you touched it, our first day in the new house, you couldn't have known it was ready. When it came off in your hand, it was like the first time you caressed my breast on that mattress on the floor in the upstairs flat in the Avenues all those years ago on the 4th of July. I couldn't have known we'd make love for the first time that night, but my body knew as soon as you touched me. Your hand knew, too, to test for ripeness in a tender question your fingertips circled around. Just as the lemon sensed it was time to let go and yield to the falling, but was held instead.
That's great, and what a great rejoinder or sequel to the 4th of July poem.
So
you can get a lot into 4
Okay.
minutes. So just go for it.
okay, the kite. On the longest day of the year, strength of the wind like monkey grip or a toddler's grasp, tenacious, full of will, the kite unwinds faster than you can keep track, undoes string until the end. It breaks. I think that's the last of the kite. But no, you and Nathan are in pursuit, chasing it, string dragging on the sand like the long tail feather of some weird bird. Now the kite somersaults up the dune, wild boy escaping his captors, Huck Finn, craving adventure. I relax back against a log and feel the fresh chill of Point Reyes air. Charred chunks of driftwood fire add smoky undertones to salt and fish smell. Coiled tubes of kelp, gull feathers, stones and shells, all in a lovely random scatter no one can improve on. All the sea breathing hard. Nathan drags the kite he caught by the tail, smiling. Together, you and I untwist, unravel, track down the source, find the beginning. We untangle the kite, a cat's cradle of orange and pink silk triangles. Patiently, for long moments, I hold it, gently unrolling as you feed me string, slowly walking backwards towards the intense respiration of the ocean. Wind hastens its dance, picks up the kite as Nathan grabs the string's handle and runs, looking up, laughing, laughing.
That is family life. It's letting go. It's not having any idea how it's going to work out. It's recovering it and kind of sorting it out, but you know it's going to go again. And just kind of sitting with all these little pieces around you. That's what mothers do. I love it. So perhaps one more.
Okay. Restore. The fragile will tear, the bitter harden, the sweet rot. The mind softens and blurs, wavers between sharp and vague, like a car radio between stations on a long road trip. It takes longer to prepare a face to meet a face. Once I fought sleep. Now I wish I had a button to press marked Restore. I still want to leap and land lightly like a cat, soundlessly. Grace is being taken from me. But here is the redwood next door, and dark pink camellias float in rainwater, streaming so fast at the edge of Park Road, rushing away from me as I watch them go, petals still fresh from where they had just fallen.
So that's our experience, is it not? Of things changing and getting older and seeing it flow away. It's, again, a beautiful connection with the kite go, it's gone, it's different. And we have to, in some way, celebrate it because it's all we have. You can't sit on it, you can't crush it, you can't hang on to it. You can just give it, you can honor it, which is what those poems are. And this is wonderful, wonderful stuff, and I'm so glad that you came to share it with us. Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you, Neshama.